Okay, can you see me? I don't see me talking. That's interesting. Sorry about this, guys. I'm trying to get this situated, and this is totally new to me. I'm trying to use my laptop to do a live stream, and I don't know how this is working out. So, there we go. This camera is not pointing in the direction that it seems to be pointing. That's why I'm having issues with it, which is really interesting. Huh. If I move this way, I move that way, I move this way, I move that way. Okay. Now I can't see me. That's me. There we go. I think that's better. Still not what I want, but there we go. Hey there, this is Dr. Jewa Lee. I had some technical difficulties, so please excuse that. Just trying to get used to being on live via my desktop. I'm new to YouTube, so still trying to figure out all the kinks and bugs. If you're not familiar with me, I usually stream on another platform, and my topic is whole heart living. I am a chiropractor by trade, and have evolved to the space of mind-body medicine. I do a technique called BEST. It stands for Bioenergetic Synchronization Technique. It's a mind-body medicine technique that looks at emotional memory, conscious and subconscious, and looks at those memory patterns that are impeding your body's ability to communicate within itself effectively and thus heal itself. Our bodies are constantly sending feedback from the cells to the brain to the heart and vice versa. And so if that is impeded by an emotional memory event that causes a running of a stress response, it can lead to dysfunction. So those people who have had traumatic events in their childhood or even recently people who have undergone traumatic events that lead to post-traumatic stress disorder, people who have gone through divorce or breakups or any kind of stressful response. It could be a high impact, short duration event like a car accident, or it can be something as slow and insidious as a job that you do not like, that you go to every day but stresses you out. Those two things have the same result once they reach a certain threshold, and can cause you all kinds of problems that, unbeknownst to you, are happening in the background of your nervous system. So your body goes into a stress response, and certain things happen when you're in a stress response. First of all, adrenaline is pumped, cortisol is pumped, your blood pressure goes up, your heart rate goes up, your respiration goes up, digestion is slowed down or delayed because your primary concern is either running or fighting, and blood is shunted to your limbs, your arms, and your legs so that you can run and fight more efficiently. And see, this response is a hardwired response in our bodies, and it happens whenever we're under stress or feel like we're under attack. And that attack can be real or imagined, and that's important to remember. So now that we live in these highly stressed situations, our daily lives are stressed. Most of us wake up to an alarm clock, so we start off our day with a stress response. Our body goes into high alert mode and is woken up with a fight or flight response. Depending on your morning routine, you can experience stress getting the kids ready for the day, experience stress going to your work or school in traffic, dealing with those things, and then just the stress of being under scrutiny at a job or under pressure in school to perform. All these things have a cumulative effect. So most people are walking around in a chronic stress response. So when I find in my practice, when people come to my practice for care, the thing that they usually come for is a physical complaint. But more often than not, they find out that their physical complaint is related to an emotional response that has happened in the past and an unlearned lesson that is unresolved. And so once we figure out what that pattern is, what that emotion is, we can identify the lesson and break the pattern. And then once the pattern is broken, then the body goes back to its normal state. I have had clients who have come to me for certain complaints, like knee pain or back pain or ankle pain, and we do a session, and then the next time they come in, I ask them about their initial complaint, and they look at me like I'm crazy because they don't remember having that complaint, because it's resolved itself so completely and so thoroughly that it's not even on their mind anymore. It's not even an issue. So I tell people who come to my practice that you're like onions. You're like onions in the sense that you have many layers, and the outermost layer is the layer that is going to be addressed at that time. So that's what I do. I help people peel away layers, and my platform is whole heart living. Our hearts are a dynamic entity. They're not a mechanical pump. They're much more than that. And so if you take the premise that we are made of pure potential energy and that the universe is an energetic universe, our hearts are the gateway to the unseen realms of that universe. Our hearts are the actual intersection of the unseen and the seen. So spirit and matter. So when we say that heart disease is the #1 killer of people in the Western world, it's not a diet issue. It's not a exercise issues, not because you're eating too much fat. It's because of what you're thinking and the stress that you have put your system under based on your thoughts, and how you conduct yourself through your day, how you handle your stress. There are many stressors that impact the heart. Um, One of them is our thoughts. The primary one is our thoughts. And there are other things that can stress our hearts as well, what we eat. And so the reason for this video was I was driving through Detroit the other day. I live in Detroit, so I drive through it often. But I was driving through a section of Detroit, and I happened to pass by this huge building. It was a two-story building, and it was, like the length of one of those strip malls that you see. And in big bold letters, it said Wayne County Dialysis Center. And I was thinking to myself, has dialysis become so prevalent that we need a two-story building dedicated solely to dialysis? And so it struck me as not odd, but it struck me in the wrong, it got under my skin that there are people who go to dialysis, and now it's become a new normal. That a whole section of people have become desensitized to the fact that a major organ in their body is failing or has failed, and now they have to resort to mechanical means in order to stay alive. I have a brother who is probably 12, no, he's 17 years older than I am. And he used to drink a lot. And he will tell you that he partied hard and had a great time, and now his kidneys have given out on him, and he goes through dialysis 3 times a week. And he will be the first to tell you that if he had thought about it or really had understood the repercussions of his actions, he would have chosen differently. It's not just alcohol that leads to kidney failure. There's something else that we eat every day in the classic traditional American diet that can lead to kidney failure and thus dialysis. And that is sugar. Sugar in the form of carbohydrates, sugar in the form of fruit sugar. We just eat entirely too much sugar, and as a result, that causes inflammation. It causes hyperinsulinemia, which means there's too much insulin in our body. It causes insulin resistance. And as a result, there is a whole cascade of things that happen with this unnatural amount of sugar that we consume and the effects that it has on our bodies. That sugar turns into fat, and that causes a whole host of other problems called metabolic syndrome, where actually fat is not just under the skin, but is in between our organs and starts compressing and causing tension on the organs of our bodies, and it affects how they perform. So this whole idea of dialysis being a new norm, in the sense that now we're building buildings dedicated to it, makes me think that we're not really addressing root cause, and that we're just treating effects, and the effects being kidney failure. So my goal is to help educate you on root cause. Eating a diet high in carbohydrates and high in sugar leads to a whole host of problems, including kidney failure, diabetes, and ultimately kidney failure. And so what's the answer to that? Well, the answer to that is the antithesis of a high sugar diet. And that would be a high-fat diet. So typically, if you look at the Food and Drug Administration's pathetic food pyramid, and I call it pathetic because they've revised it so many times because they just know that they're not getting it right. They have grains and carbohydrates and breads and cereals as the base of this pyramid, which leads to the whole problem of these dialysis centers. Um, so their recommendations basically have led to the chain of effects of these dialysis centers that now are popping up. Um, so yeah, so the base is these carbohydrates. Then the next layer, I think they have is proteins and fruits and vegetables, and then at the very very tippy top is fats and oils. So flip that on its head, and that would be the ideal diet for you in order to not have high sugar, and in order to have the proper nutrition that you need in order to maintain weight, to have healthy brain function, to not have inflammation. I think I said that already, but you get the drift. And so what was at the top is now at the bottom, and what was at the bottom is the top. So 70% of your intake would be fats, healthy fats. And what would be healthy fats? Well, we have eggs, whole dairy, if you want to eat dairy, nuts, fish, fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, sardines, um, avocado, coconut oil. These are healthy fats, and cheeses, okay, hard cheeses. These are healthy fats and can be consumed daily with no problem. Despite what we have been told, that was a lie as well. High fat food does not lead to you being fat. High fat food does not lead to you having cholesterol. The other thing that I mentioned, sugar, leads to all those things. So there's a lot of misinformation that's been put out there, and now the tide is turning and the information is coming to light. What was in the dark is now coming to light. So 70% fat, 20% protein. And the protein can be in the form of vegetable protein. So your green leafy vegetables, your animal proteins if you're so inclined to eat that. Again, your fish and your poultry would fall into that category. Then you have your 5% of carbohydrates. Yes, 5%. So what was used to be 70% is now 5%. Okay? So what's your carbs? Your vegetables, fruit, fruits, certain kinds of fruit, because the whole point of eating a high-fat diet is to make sure that you don't go into glycolysis, which means using sugar as fuel. You want to stay in ketosis, and you want to use ketones, which is the component of fat, as fuel. And so to maintain ketosis, you have to make sure that your sugar intake is low. So you can't eat things that are high in sugar. So fruit is high in sugar, and that only certain fruits that are low on the sugar scale, and those that are berries. So raspberries, blackberries, occasionally blueberries, occasionally strawberries. But all the fruits that you would see in these smoothies that most people like to drink, thinking that they're healthy, like banana or citrus in the form of lemon and lime and orange, mango, what else I'm thinking of? I can't think of anything right now. Bananas, I said that already. Oh, apples. Those are high sugar fruit, and that's why they like putting them in smoothies, because our palate has been so trained to eat sugar that we have just adopted that into the highest order. So I just wanted to share that information with you. Make sure that you eat a high fat diet. If you want some help in going to do that, You can go to my website, wellnessandwakaya.com. I spell that. That's wellness and A-N-D, Wakaya, WAKAYA.com. And there you can find help with the Bula Fit system on moving from the current diet that you have to one of ketosis. Also, you can go to learn more about Wakaya, WAKAYA.com. And I'll put that in the comment section here so you can refer to it later. Hope that helps. This is Dr. Jewa Lee. You can catch me on drjewa.com, drjewa.com. And I look forward to seeing you in the next installment of Whole Heart Living. Looking forward to it.